Welcome to another episode of the Real Chill Conversations. Today we'll be talking about, do you have to go to church to be spiritual? Or can you be spiritual by saging, having spiritual baths, meditations, and doing affirmations? Who would like to be the first one to discuss, do you have to be spiritual to go to church? Brenna?
So I raised my hand to answer the question that's presented. Do you have to be spiritual to go to church, or is there a change in the definition of your spirituality based on your commitment to organized religion and specific religious events, partaking in Bible study and volunteering in church, sometimes 2-3 days a week? And so my answer to that is absolutely, positively, yes, you are spiritual. Whether you go to church once a week, 7 days a week, once a year, or not at all in the past 2.5 years. I think that spirituality, the connection, and the belief in a higher power, that connection and why you have some of the instincts and some of the gut and some of the pull and directions with specific things, I think it comes from inside. I think that comes from your own individual spirit. So I think that helps make the connection to the higher power, and that connection remains engaged and in place, and is not judged on how many days a week you go to church.
Dominique, would you like to add on to it?
Okay, hey everyone. We are live, so check out our live. I don't think to be spiritual to me, I have a lot of ways to be spiritual, and I wouldn't say it's necessarily going to church. Um, I was brought up in a church, Pentecostal. My mom would send me every Tuesday, every Sunday, but she would never go. But I would always have to go. But yes, I was raised in a church, and my beliefs are just I believe in God. So the way I practice spirituality is my prayers. I do also meditation. That's another great way to get me through my day. So yeah, that's about it of how I grew up and what I consider to be spiritual to me.
Yeah, just like y'all said, I feel like everybody has their certain way of worshiping, whether it be, to a specific God or whether they're worshiping the lands, or a lot of people are different. So it's always good to have an open mind, because nowadays it's like a melting pot, especially depending on where you live. I know here in Atlanta, I grew up, dealing with lots of different people from everywhere, from the Middle East to South America, Central America, and the Caribbean. Up north, they had different beliefs. I have a lot of family up north, and it really is just dependent on your culture. But I don't feel like you have to necessarily go to church or belong to a certain church to practice how you want to practice. Me and Edwina, we were talking about sage, and she mentioned someone saying it was evil or worshiping, evil powers or bringing bad spirits, but it's really about how you perceive it and how you're using it. If you're using it, in a positive light, just if you feel like sage cleanses the air and, brings a new feeling to maybe a new home that you're just moved into. I don't think everybody is maybe comfortable going to church and, getting on their knees and praying. Some people might just rather do that to themselves in their own time, in their own private space. So I would say with sage, have y'all, any of you guys used sage before? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, Natalie, I have. And I was going to actually piggyback on what you said about the sage. I was brought up in a household, a Pentecostal church, where we didn't sage, we didn't believe in crystals, we didn't do spiritual baths, meditations. Of course, we prayed. But I was brought up saging was bad. It's a form of like a witchcraft or voodoo. You don't do it. So as I got older, I was telling people, oh, you shouldn't sage because of this. This is how I was brought up in the church. And then I did my research on saging. Saging is not just for cleaning out negative energy. Sage is also good for your health. If you actually go online and look up different things for sage, one, sage contains vitamin A and C. It also reduces the risk of serious health conditions like cancer. I didn't know that because I was just assuming sage was just bad. Sage also is rich in vitamin K, which is also an aid for body in the clotting blood. So we have to think about how when we're telling people it's bad, there are other good things behind it as well. Also, if you use sage as an oil, it's actually good for curing eczema. Didn't know that. So I think how sometimes we're raised, we get the wrong impression on certain things. Like, for instance, I was raised that weed was just absolutely horrible. To find out weed is actually not horrible. It has health. It has good health conditions behind it. So I think we just have to do our research on certain things like that.
I wanted to piggyback a little bit, and Dominique, just dive a little bit further into what you were saying and talking about your mom sending you to church every Tuesday and Sunday, but your mom wasn't attending church with you. Did I hear you say that right, correctly?
Yes, ma'am, that is correct.
Okay. So with that being said, and then your experience of being sent to church twice a week, right? But then you don't have your mom joining you at church for that twice a week. I mean, did you think that caused any type of, I don't want to necessarily say like a conflict with you and your mom, but do you think it made it easier for you to decide as to what you wanted to do with attending church or not? Because you went, your 2 days a week per your mom sending you, but your mom, your mom opted not to go. I mean, she still, I'm sure, is a positive person and, doesn't have a whole bunch of craziness happening to her because she didn't attend. Is that part of it at all? Or did you just independently say, you know what, us attending church on a regular basis just doesn't work with our lifestyle, or we just don't feel like it's necessary?
Well, she did work a lot. I want to say that first. So that was one of the reasons. And number two, I think she just had her own way of spirituality, which is the same thing that we're talking about now. So that just goes to say everyone has their own way of how they interpret, how to be spiritual. So I just believe that she did start going to church at one point later in her life. But, she just did the same thing. She prayed at home. She did her prayers. So I really do believe everybody just have their own way. And just to talk back about the sage that Natalie and Edwina was talking about, I don't think sage is bad at all. It's a plant. Am I right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, you're right.
It is a plant, and it's also, sage is also an herb that's used in a lot of seasonings. It's used in the poultry seasoning for your turkey, your chicken, and all that kind of stuff. It's used in the seasoning for the ready-made stuffing mixes or dressing mixes that you do at holidays. Actually, here in Virginia, I mean, one of the things that we did is go to the market and went to the produce section, and we got a few fresh herbs, and sage was one of them, because there are not just the cleansing benefits when people are burning dried sage in their home to try to get clarity, or try to eradicate any type of negative and suppress negative energies, but it also is very cleansing for your body, and it helps pull toxins out of your body. It helps your lymphatic system do what it's supposed to do. It helps your kidneys do what it's supposed to do. It helps your liver do what it's supposed to do. So people that talk about, oh, using sage is a form of witchcraft and all that, voodoo-y stuff, that's complete BS. You can grow sage right now on your kitchen, counter and be fine, and dry it. And if you wanted to burn that, you actually could.
I was about to say, because I want to say this. I was listening to Marcus Rogers. I don't know if any of you all know who he is. However, he was talking about how sage came from a evil perspective, and they used it for evil. But I'm just saying, if sage is just a plant, I know my husband was doing it one day, and I was like, wait a minute. This is when I didn't know, what it was. I was like, wait a minute, what is you doing? Is that voodoo or something?
Because I was just about to say, tell these folks the truth, what really happened when you first saw this sage. Quit lying to these people.
I'm serious. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, what is you doing? Hold up. So
People don't
explain to me.
They don't understand the cleansing properties and the cleansing benefits of using sage and using plants and using certain herbs. And I think people misconstrue, they misunderstand, and their auntie might have told their cousin, who told their friend, who told the lady, who told everybody that, I read in a book somewhere that if you burn sage, and it means that you're practicing, XYZ. I mean, a lot of things just get messed up in the message, and it's not effective communication. But when you actually do your research and you look into things like that, you start to learn where some of the myth and some of the stories just started to come about and started to spread. And I think that's part of the problem. And in the way that, for me, that I counterbalance that, I mean, to me, Dominique, you just proved my point. I mean, your mom sent you to church twice a week. She was working a lot, but your mom had her own ways of being spiritual and practicing spirituality. You, as an adult, you've got going on what you've got going on. You in your own way practice your spirituality. I've always, since I've known you, have always known you to be a praying person, especially in conversations. If somebody's going through something or what have you, I'll keep you in my prayers. I'm going to say a prayer for you, or I pray that things, get better and things get well. And I don't think people speak in that manner unless that's their actual intention. That's just something that I believe. It doesn't make sense to say you're going to pray over something and then you actually don't. That's just weird to me. But I have found that when you do anything that seems to be outside of the box, then that's when people want to start labeling it as this is wrong. This is, not following along, the right path. And when you challenge those things, then you just need to be prepared to back it up, whether it's just, hey, this is my opinion, or hey, this is my opinion. And also research states that this is an herb that's beneficial for the different reasons listed, such as Edwina mentioning an herb. If there's an herb that has vitamin K, put me on it, please, because I don't want to be on blood thinners. I don't want to have a problem with blood clots. You know what I mean? I'd rather have the natural remedy if my body's having an issue with producing that. I'd rather not have to rely on prescription medication to take care of certain things. If there's a little plant that I can have growing on my counter, let me just do that then. That's easy.
That reminds me a lot of Dr. Sabi and how,
Yes.
he used a lot of herbal cleansing to free the body of different toxins and
Right.
disease. And they locked him up. He went to
They
jail
locked him
over
up.
that.
They locked him
And he
up.
was
Yep.
actually helping a lot of people, but because he wasn't a doctor, registered MD, he got in trouble for doing that and helping people out in those ways.
Didn't he also, isn't there like allegedly that he cracked the code in terms of being able to cure AIDS and HIV?
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Yes, that's so true.
So there you go. There's that.
I think
There
with
is.
the sage, it's just the fact that you're waving that thing around like a wand and then the smoke. And it's just like, if you didn't know and you did see somebody waving that around, it's like, hey, that's a witch's wand or something. People are ignorant. They just, you just wouldn't know because it does look like that.
It does. It really does. But he was also mentioning that, it's the origin and what they did with the sage. But my thing is how, my question would be, how are you using it though? Right? Because you could be using it in a good way. You could be using it in a bad way. So, I mean, I still don't think it's bad after I did my research and I actually read about it.
One of the things too, in readings up on certain things and trying to get a history of why we have such a problem with things that seem like they're outside of the norm, like Natalie was saying, I guess people get nervous if you're waving the wands with your sage and it's burning on the end. Like, well, what does that mean? Is that some kind of ritual? And this thing is burning and smoking, and it stinks. They don't smell good when it's burning, but if that's that thing that is going to help keep negative energy away from, my spirit, then I'm going to want to keep that negative energy away. If I can also help rid my body of the things that would impact my spirit and the toxins that we just take in every single day and what we're exposed to, and, what's in our food and what's in the vegetables and the produce and all of that, and different chemicals to make it grow. I mean, there's just so much that is toxic and is detrimental to your health, and that's mind, body, and soul. So I think when we find alternative things, as long as you do your research and you're comfortable with it, then you should be able to move forward and not feel any type of way, whether people look at you sideways or not. Now, I'm the type of person, I'd be happy to explain to you, the benefits of it, but I don't feel I don't owe you that. I mean, I don't have to justify what I'm doing to you, but I'm happy to share information because it might help you out. So, I look at things like that too, and especially when it comes down to the crystals. And I know some people have some of y'all got some things to say about that.
Oh yeah, I used to collect them as a kid. I think it was at the zoo. They say, "Oh, fill your bag with these crystals for what, $10.99. You could fill this bag up with as many crystals as you can stuff in there." And I was just so fascinated because they were colored and they just looked so cool. But don't call them rocks, because the people that actually are into that, it's like, no, they're crystals. They're not rocks. They're not stones. Get it right.
T, what do you do for your spirituality?
Well, I mean, I certainly go to church. I haven't been in a while. Of course, when the pandemic hit and everything shut down, we weren't able to go like normal. So I haven't really gotten back into the routine of just going to the church house. But I definitely, I guess, believe in spirituality as well. I definitely meditate. But I think sometimes, it all goes hand in hand. So we pray and we ask God for certain things. I meditate so that I can kind of quiet my mind to hear Him actually speaking, of course. And then I do affirmations so that I know that those things that I'm asking for, I'm already destined for. So to me, it kind of already goes hand in hand. I'm going to pray. I'm going to meditate to kind of clear my head, to kind of get the vision or see maybe, what God has for me. And then, of course, I'm going to speak those things into existence as if they were. So, I mean, for me, it kind of all goes hand in hand. I speak words to myself. I speak words that's going to encourage me. I speak words when I get up in the morning. I pray when I get up in the morning. I pray at night. So again, it's just being well rounded and having the ability to pray and then put in the work behind whatever you prayed for.
And yeah, I just want to say something. I'm sorry. To me, it's not the thing that you're using. To me, it's more like your words. You are powerful in what you say and do.
Right.
So a lot of people may say, well, you're doing this because I've tapped into affirmations actually and just try to say them. And some things have come into fruition, but it's not that I'm listening to it. It's just the power of me saying them.
That's what I was gonna say about the sage too. Is like it could, I mean, besides the fact that we know it has, actual health positives, it could be a placebo effect where just doing that just makes people feel like, okay, I'm doing this, I'm saying this, okay, some good's gonna come from me doing this.
Right.
Just like with the affirmations, you hear yourself, you're reiterating it, boom, you start to believe it.
I absolutely agree with that. And just kind of as I'm listening to you all speak and listening to you all talk about spirituality and responding to the questions in terms of church versus non-church and utilizing sage and utilizing crystals and what things do we do to promote our spirituality and keep us in the place in which we are centered and we don't feel off balance. And an observation that I have made is, T, when I see you posted every morning or every time that you're posting that you're doing your walk and you're taking your NutriBurst, I mean, it is so encouraging to see that you have that commitment and then you continue with that commitment and you follow through with that commitment because we see the consistency of the posts. We see the brightness when you're talking. We see that you look like a person who is benefiting from what it is that you're doing. So now I'm over here like, well, maybe I need to get me some NutriBurst because if it's going to help with energy, and if it's going to help with, restoring all of the vitamins in my body that have been depleted by illness and hospitalizations and surgeries and being on all these medications and different antibiotics that just kill everything in your body, even the good stuff, I need to replenish all of that. Like it needs to be more than just probiotics and other things. Like now I'm paying attention, and I'm paying attention because I'm seeing a person who on a regular and consistent basis is following this practice. It's not even like it's a hour-long video. You know what I'm saying? It's you like popping in and popping out, little chit chat, little convo, but you got that NutriBurst packet, and you just like, I believe you.
Well,
I
Brenda,
believe I believe you, and so now I need to try to figure out.
Thank
Do
you.
I need to go ahead and get myself some NutriBurst? But to me, that also seems like that's something that helps you
Honestly,
stay centered, which helps towards your spirituality.
absolutely. And even in saying that, because even now, I'm sure y'all see me, I'm sitting up here just moving around. I am so sore, back on fire. When I tell you, I can barely sit in this seat right this second. But as you said, yeah, it does. When I get up in the morning, I pray and I'm like, okay, I know what I'm trying to do. I know what my goals are. I normally listen to something to kind of help get my day started. Something that just says, come on, let's get up and go. But doing those things, like you said, and taking a moment for myself in the morning, it just kind of helps me center myself, and I know what I have to do. So absolutely. And that's what I honestly, like you said, that's the best way I can describe it, is that's what helps me do that is by telling myself, okay, you got this. Okay, you finna do this. Okay. And then with the prayer and asking God, to keep me, even on the days that I don't want to go, hey, help me to get up, even when I don't want to get up. Okay, T, let's go. So yeah, it takes a lot of that, because right now, whoo, baby, I'm over here barely able to sit up straight.
Hold up. Somebody got to give T a commercial. Because I swear, I called my friend today. I was like, you look wonderful. You're doing wonderful.
Yeah.
I said, maybe in my head, I'm thinking, maybe I need some NutriBurst.
See, T, I'm not the only one.
I think we should all get some.
I thought you had a paid sponsorship.
Girl,
with
her
NutriBurst, honey.
her energy was on fire.
Yes.
We all need to get some. Everybody on the live, if you're watching right now, go support T. Let's get it, guys.
That's right.
Yes,
Absolutely
yes.
right.
NutriBurn. Everybody go get it.
Thank you. Ooh.
T, you need to tell everybody how we should order it. Just put it out there so everybody can know how we can support you.
So yes. You guys can go to my IG page, which is I am_Curtista Monique, and that's KURTISTA MONIQUE.
All right, everybody, go and support our girl. Show her some love. Let's get it.
Yes, keep it going. So I want to ask you, Edwina, I know you said you grew up in the church. So how has, your upbringing and those, not necessarily your beliefs, your beliefs haven't changed, but just your ways of practicing your spirituality, how is it different now than when you were younger?
I can really say, Natalie, I was raised in a very strict home. I couldn't wear pants. I couldn't wear makeup, jewelry, weave, none of it. And like I said, everything how I was brought up, it was wrong. Going to the movie theater was wrong. Going bowling was wrong. My background, my family believes in the rapture, and that's a whole nother topic by itself. So I'm not going to say I lived in fear, but I did live in fear, thinking like, okay, I couldn't do certain things because, oh my God, the rapture is going to happen today, and I have to be spiritually right for God. I have to read my Bible. I have to pray, because if I don't, I'm going to go to hell. Now, as I got older, I realized it's more than that. It's more than just going to church and reading your Bible and helping out with church bake sales. It's like God searches the heart. So you really have to be a good person, not just today, not just tomorrow, but always, because he's always looking at you. So I would say as I got older, I realized that, it's okay to go a different approach in your spirituality. It's okay to take a different walk. You're not going against the grain. You just find out more knowledge and more understanding and more wisdom. Because like I said, with the sage thing, like it's against everything that I have been brought up, everything that my parents have taught me, because they were taught that sage was wrong, because some people, not all people, use it for wrong ways, in their own ways. I'm not gonna say it's wrong because they have their own beliefs, but I can say honestly now, now that I'm older, I'm glad I have made a different choice spiritual wise, and I got into meditations and I got into affirmations because, like I said, it has helped me grow. Writing in my journal, it has helped me grow in this journey, my new journey, and I don't regret it at all.
Well, Duna, let me ask you this. So you said that the way you were raised, and I get it, due to your religion, that's how you were raised. Do you think that as far as where you are now, as far as your belief and your spirituality, do you think that it affects what you teach your children, or how you raise them, and as far as what they do?
Absolutely, T, absolutely. Because, like I said, I wasn't allowed to do anything. It was a fear based because we thought God was going to come back. I couldn't, like I said, do anything. So now how I raise my kids in church, but I tell them, okay, it's okay for you to enjoy life. It's okay to speak your mind, because I was raised, me, in a generation of sit down, be quiet, don't ask questions. And so as I got older, I wanted to ask questions, but I was so fear based, like, okay, I can't go against the grain. I can't go against what my parents, aunties, and uncles have told me. I have to sit down and be quiet until, like I said, doing my own history, doing research. I was like, no, I can ask questions. So now I have my kids asking me questions. Now I'm very open and honest with my kids about the Bible and about religion and about sage and other stuff that they're curious about. I'm very open and honest with them because I rather try to teach them what I know from my knowledge than them to go out there and get the wrong information.
I want to say something though. In the Bible, people use the Bible for the wrong reasons as well, especially for slavery. So I mean, it just depends on how you're using it, and if you're putting that before God. And definitely anything that helps me, I'm willing to get it, speak over it, pray over it. I have some beautiful bracelets that I purchased. And they actually helped me with, I prayed over them, I put them on, and one is for anxiety and one is for protection. So I believe my anxiety has calmed down so much, y'all. Like when I put these bracelets on, it was like, I prayed over them. I asked God to, help me with it, and they have really helped me. So I guess it's just how you use it.
So let me ask you this, Dominique, because I told you guys, with that. Okay, so you said that you put the bracelets on. So I know Natalie or someone mentioned earlier, like the placebo. So to what extent do you think you take things like that to where it's like, okay, is it a myth, or is it me telling myself that, this anxiety is, being reduced? Like, to what point? So you did that, but like, do you guys think it's like at a point to where, okay, what I'm saying, that's just in my head, or maybe I'm just doing that because that's something that I think that this is supposed to do?
I'll speak to that for a second, especially since it's regarding anxiety and the mention of the placebo. And I think Natalie was the one that was mentioning, the reference. Could it be that it's actually working, or is this a placebo effect because you're just going through the process of that activity? So now your mind believes that you're getting the resolve, right, and you're getting the relief from doing such said thing. Now, having battled anxiety my entire life, and knowing that it worsened after certain things that happened in my life, and then it would get better and it would be okay, and I'd be fine. I'd go from that to full on, I can't breathe. I feel like I'm having a heart attack. Like, I don't know what's happening. I can't focus. I can't think straight because my mind is going in 700 in 57 different places at 200 miles a minute, and it's just so overwhelming. It's a terrible, terrible feeling. But one of the things that I learned when I started going to counseling and going to therapy and to learn, what are some of the things that are triggers? What are some of the things that cause me to get into this state? And what was explained to me is that, while there are things that are emotional that can contribute to your anxiety, there's also physical things that can go on within the body that contribute to anxiety as well. So let's say you have an underlying issue that you didn't have any awareness of. You have an underlying high blood pressure issue, but you don't know that you have high blood pressure because you haven't gone to a doctor to have your blood pressure checked, and you're not having any symptoms, and you don't have a fast heart rate or anything. You just have really high blood pressure. But because your blood pressure is so high, your body is starting to go into your immune system is activating and responding to try to deal with what happens when you have high blood pressure. And one of the things that I didn't know that happens when you have high blood pressure is the force of the blood that's in your vessels is so strong that it actually causes you to start leaking fluids out of your blood vessels into your body. So then you've got your blood cells are coming through and they're like, hey, this cell's not supposed to be here. We gotta, it's under fire. We gotta attack. We gotta go after it. We gotta do this. We gotta do that. And then it creates a whole nother set of issues in your body. So now, because that activation has happened with your immune system, now your heart is beating faster. Your heart is beating faster because your heart's like, oh, I got to pump more blood because we got to get this thing out of the system. But now your heart's beating faster, and you're not used to your heart beating 175 beats per minute because normally it's 85, to 92. Now your heart's beating so fast you can just feel it in your chest, and now your chest is getting tight. But if you can take a few moments and have just a conversation, like literally say, self, we're going to be all right. And do some deep breathing, have a conversation. This is when you journal. This is when you light your candle. This is when you get in your tub. This is when you take your bath. This is when you do your sage, like whatever it is that helps relax and ease you. These are the things that you need to put in place. And see, we haven't even got into taking any medication for it yet. We've gone into doing some behaviors, some actual behaviors to distract us from what it is that we're experiencing and what we're going through. But also, these are positive behaviors that help correct what's happening physically in the body. So if you already have elevated blood pressure and then you have other stuff that's going on, stress is only going to increase that and make it worse. And then you have things that are layered on top of one another. So it's very, 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 very challenging. But from what I have been experiencing, it definitely helps if you just make sure that you take the time out that you need to find your center and to connect with your spiritual self. I mean, I didn't melt down and I didn't have a panic attack, but my flight was completely messed up leaving Atlanta. I don't know if it was the rain, whatever. But something told me like I wasn't sleeping right. I got up early, and when I went to bed, it said the flight was on time. But when I got up in the morning, it said that the flight was delayed. So we get there, and the flight is delayed. It tells us, oh, the flight's delayed 40 minutes. Whatever. Long story short, we wound up not departing when we thought we were going to depart. But I didn't have to worry about a connecting flight or anything like that. But instead of melting down and like having a freak out, I just took some deep breaths. I told my kids, I was going to get some water, and we were going to have a seat, and we were going to like look at a show or something, and we were just going to wait until it was time for us to get on our flight. And I did okay. I did okay. Like, I was proud of myself, that the breathing, the writing in my little notebook, the taking the sip of water, having a conversation with my kids, and trying to just be lighthearted about it instead of panicking and getting upset and stressed was so much more helpful. And I didn't want to stress out because I didn't want that blood pressure to go back up. I didn't want to be back in the hospital, for something that I can be a little more proactive in assisting with keeping it under control. And I apologize for being so long-winded with that, but I just, like, anxiety is, I'm passionate about it because I know that not enough people talk about it still, and not enough people really get into, how bad is bad and how good is good. Like, what's the norm? Like, where's your middle ground, and like where you're at right now. And like right now, I'm perfectly fine. I don't feel stressed. I don't feel anxious. I'm not nervous. I don't feel pressure. I'm fine because I put things in place. And I was able to do that, and I was able to find calm and find my center. So whether it's crystals for energy or herbs or any of those things or NutriBurst, I really do think I'm gonna get me in some NutriBurst because tea just be making it look so good and so helpful. And those are the types of things that I need. I really do need the vitamins and other things for my body to help get it out of its fight or flight state.
Okay, ladies, do you guys have any last remarks you guys want to add in about this topic? Dominique, T, Brenna.
No, I think I kind of asked. I think Brenda kind of answered my question as far as, like you said, how do you feel about it being a placebo or just doing things to help calm it naturally? So yeah, which is great to me. But no, I think it was interesting, and you guys definitely had some insightful information.
Okay, great. Dominique, how about you? Any last remarks?
Yes, I want to say that even though I have my bracelets and I practice meditation and I practice affirmation, I have really tapped into my higher self now. But still, my spirituality is in prayer. God, I believe in Him. I have real strong faith in Him. So at the end of the day, none of those things that I am using or practicing, it's like over Him. So definitely just keep that in mind. It's just how you use things, and are you using it for good or are you using it for bad?
Okay, Brenna, do you have any last remarks on this topic?
I'm gonna say that absolutely, intention is, where this all comes from. The intention that you have with the prayer that you say when you get on your knees in the comfort of your own home, or if you're with a friend who's going through something and you tell them that you want to pray together or what have you, or putting on your bracelets or any of those things. I mean, like Dominique was saying, you're tapping into your higher power. And I believe that only exists and that can only happen when you have positive intentions behind it. When you have positive intentions and that's what you're putting out and that's what you're beginning to manifest, that's what comes back on you. When when people say you get what you give, to a certain degree, there is some of that exists. But what I really have recognized too is the tapping into your own spirituality and your own connection with the higher power is really what has been giving a lot of us the courage to take this leap of faith together, and work on something together. We have different backgrounds, as we've said, and different upbringings and what have you, but we definitely feel like there's messages and there's information that can be shared, and we're doing that. I mean, I definitely always learn something every time that we have a conversation, or gain a little bit more of an understanding and in the ability to see things from a different perspective, which allows me to be more open. And I think that openness just points to my good intentions. And so that would be my final say so on this topic tonight.
And I also wanted to say that I wanted to announce here in Real Chill Conversations, because we will be in the building on August 8th. It's going to be a Miss J's pop-up shop in Mia London's backpack drive. So please, Birmingham, Alabama, do not miss it. Okay, we're going to have prices. We're going to have an iPad, 32 smart TV, 32-inch, and laptop. Raffle tickets are $5. And holler Miss J's. Okay, we got that surfing on the internet now. So please come to the event. It will be August 8th. And the raffle time is at 4:30 p.m., but it's from 2 to 7. And it's going to be at 5330 Oporto Madrid Boulevard, Birmingham, Alabama, 35210. And we're going to have artists there as well. So make sure you attend, get your free book bag.
Yeah, you got to talk to them like that, Dominique. Y'all come out and get that free book bag for them kids.
See,
honey.
y'all know do it for me, honey.
Y'all know school about to start. Like, quit even acting crazy. Come on out, get the free book bag. You know, it's going to be a lot of folks in the building. And, I mean, Birmingham, y'all already know. Like, just come out. She already told you the address, so you got it.
There you go. All right, y'all. Thank you for tuning in to Real Chill Conversations. Edwina, did you have anything to say?
No, I was just going to say thank you, ladies, for another great episode. If you have not already, please go like, follow, subscribe, hit that bell button for notifications. Once again, go and support T. Show her some love by buying her vitamins. I'm going to recap on what Dominique just said. Mia London, her book bag drive is free from 2 to 7. Please, guys, Birmingham, Alabama, come show your support. It's free once again. That's all I have to say.
All right, y'all. Real Chill Conversations. We out of here.
We out. Love you guys.
Bye, y'all.